Do you know what your credit score is? Do you know what you need to do to get your credit score higher, to get you in a position to purchase a home? Today's episode, we're going to teach you the do's and don'ts and how to utilize your credit properly. One of the things that's most important is credit cards. Credit cards are the type of account that affects two sections of your credit score. Credit cards affect your payment history and your utilization. These two things have the heaviest impact on your credit score.
Absolutely. So having open credit cards with positive low balances and making sure your payments are done on time will give you the biggest bang for your buck as far as your credit score goes. Making sure low balance, payments on time.
Yeah, and if you're carrying higher balances, pay off those cards with the smaller balances first to utilize more of your cash flow.
Don't pay off your credit cards every month. I know everyone wants to do that. They don't want to pay interest, but especially if you're building credit, pay them down. Just don't pay them off to zero every month, and don't keep them at zero because then they'll look inactive and you can't gain points.
You know, I've had a lot of people really in my past where they'll get a credit card, they'll go make a purchase, and then the next day they go online and they pay it off. And they're so excited because they used the credit card, then they paid it off, and I'm like, time out. It didn't report. It didn't report a balance that was paid on time. So I tell people, wait till you get the statement in the mail. Like, I like to get it in the mail. I'm old. Or online, but you actually have to have a whole cycle post to then pay it off. So when we tell people, you know, get a credit card, yeah, the rate might be 24.99. We don't expect you to pay interest. It just the payment has to post. I think, you know, people always want to have no debt.
Right.
And they're shocked, especially because I'll get that a lot. I pay my credit cards in full every month. How come my credit score's not higher? I'm saying because you're not utilizing the credit, they're not able to see that you're disciplined.
Right.
So that's very, very important.
So, something to keep in mind, the lower the balance on your credit card when applying for the loan, the higher your credit score is going to be. Credit score is one of the criteria to determine an interest rate. So even if, let's say, someone comes to us and they have a 680 credit score, we're going to work with them to see if we can get it to 720, 740 to get the best rate possible. So when you talk to your lender, even if you have great credit, find out what you can do to make it just a little bit higher just to ensure that you get the best rate possible.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about some of the things you do. What do you do to increase your credit? Have at least 2 credit cards open. You need a minimum of 2 cards to report on the credit report to give you the best score possible. So a lot of people like get 1 credit card and they think that's enough, but a minimum of 2 credit cards.
Yes.
I get a lot of time the question, what is the percentage of your open credit should you keep to your balance? And it's generally about 30%.
That's the best possible.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And setting up auto pay also helps to keep those credit cards paid on time and ensure that those balances are maintained.
And paying more than the monthly payment. Even if it's $5, $10 more than the required minimum, that's going to help you because you can, if you want to go and ask for an increase on your credit limit, they're going to be a lot more apt to do that when they see that you're conscientious enough to pay a little bit more than the minimum payment.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the don'ts. What you don't want to do that could have an ill effect on your credit score. Don't use over 30% of your limit.
That's huge.
That will hurt your credit score dramatically. It makes you look like you're a risky borrower. So if your credit limit is 1,000, you really don't want your balance to be more than 300. Now if it goes to 500, okay, 30%'s the best, 50% it's not going to affect you. Anything more than that, when you get close to maxing out your credit card, your score is going to be dramatically affected.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in some cases, if you've got a card that has like no balance, you could use that one to pay down the card that's getting close to that 30% limit. So you want to make sure that you're smart about how you make your payments, watch those balances, watch the percentages.
And also don't close those credit cards, just even if you're not using them, just, you know, pay the balance down to 0 and keep it open. Because as soon as you close that card, it's going to affect your credit.
As soon as you close the card, or even installment debt, which, you know, once the debt's paid in full, it has to close.
Right.
But when you're closing an account, you have then essentially wiped out all that credit history. completely gone, and that credit history could have been years and years and years of on-time payments. Maybe you don't use the card anymore, but if you're gonna close the card, you're gonna also close out payment history on your credit score. I hear it all the time. The people, I canceled all my credit cards, I closed all of them, and there
You're
was,
like,
and then
wrong, wrong, wrong.
Yeah, you go 6 months like that and you'll have no credit score.
which is deadly too.
Yeah, and that was another point I was gonna make, is just, if, I know people hate to pay interest, but just don't keep it at zero. Even if you go out and charge $10, $20 for gas, and then wait till it cycles and pay it off then, but at least allow a cycle to show activity.
Right. So another thing I want to talk about is tips and tricks. Like, what can you do to gain the most points quickly on your credit score? One of them, like we were just saying, is keep your balances under 10% of the credit limit. If you do that, you're going to have a probably 40-point increase in your credit score within 30 days.
Right, and if you have skinny credit or not a lot of credit, one of the things I'm seeing a lot of, that people are putting on their utility payments, their Netflix, their rent, you know, they're self-reporting, so that's also a way to help gain some points to your score.
Yeah, you can do that online. If you're having trouble opening, you can try also applying for a secure card, so you can put in a balance on the bank account, like of $200. That's secured. You get the card. You're borrowing your own money, basically, and that gives you a credit history as well.
And a lot of banks, that's what they want to do. They want a secured credit card because they don't have a payment history or a past to judge if you're capable of making on-time payments. So
Right. One of
that's a
the
good
other
point, Kim.
things too that wasn't was getting someone to add you to their credit card that has a balance. So say a parent is wanting to get their child into credit. I put my son on my credit card. I picked the
Authorized
best one.
user.
Authorized user. I put him on my credit card, and he's like, "Wow, Mom, my credit score really went up," you know, because I added him to one of my credit cards. I didn't give him the card.
No, you don't need to do
He
that.
didn't even
You
know
don't have
I
to give
did
him the
it.
card.
Yeah. He
Let
didn't
him
even know I did
And
it.
make sure it's a low balance
Right.
credit card. Don't put them as an authorized user when you 10,000 credit limit and you're up to 9,000. That doesn't
Or
help
a
at
brand
all.
new credit card. Put
Right.
them on one of your oldest credit cards that you've had the longest, that you use the least, and you pay off the most.
Right, and they want to make sure that they've got good payment history, because
Right.
sometimes it's very advantageous to remove an authorized.
We've done that
Exactly.
too.
I've
We've-
seen that happen too.
Yeah.
Because then they don't have the control and their credit scores can tank without even knowing that it's happening.
Right.
When my son turned 16 and started driving, I made him an authorized user on one of my credit cards. I gave him the card just because I needed him to pay for gas and to stop asking me for money all the time. So now he is 19 and just applied for his own credit card on his own. His credit score was 780
Aw.
from just being an
Nice.
authorized user on one of my credit cards. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
it
"You're on
really
your own,
works.
son."
Yeah,
There
that's
you
awesome.
go.
Yeah.
It really works.
A lot of tips and tricks that
You
we
know,
can help.
And
And that
something
can
else,
show up within 30 days.
Without
so
a
it's
doubt.
Right.
really
That's
quick
fast.
to get it going.
If you're worried about your credit, if you think your credit's crappy, give us a call. Let us look at it and let us give you a plan. Because
For
what
sure.
I always say, credit is like that trick test that the teacher likes to give you. What you think you should do is not always what you should be doing. And it's not always going to give you the biggest bang for your buck.
Right.
Yeah, and we have the ability to pull a soft pull, so it doesn't affect your score as well.
Which is a real big deal too. 'Cause people
Really
say, I don't
big.
want my credit pulled again. Well, we can do it behind the scenes kind of
Right.
and give you our professional input. You know, medical collections, they don't count derogatory against
Right.
you. People are like, well, I'm gonna pay all these medical collections I have. I didn't know I had them, because I'm gonna say 95% of the people whose credits I pull have a medical collection.
Yeah.
Because they never got the bill.
They
They
never
never knew, you know, I see that all the
I
time.
have one. I never got the bill. It was like from 7 years ago.
You thought the insurance company covered the payment, and
Yeah.
they didn't, so I see a lot of that too.
But now they will never get the payment.
That,
They will never get that payment because then my credit
Rules
score will
change.
down. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
absolutely.
Don't make assumptions. Don't think what you're gonna do is gonna improve your credit. It may not. Ask your financial advisor, ask your mortgage professional, but I think we did a good job of telling people what they need to do to improve their credit scores.
For sure.
Absolutely.
If you have any questions or ideas for podcast topics in the future, please email us at mortgagechicks@vandykemortgage.com.
And don't forget, you can always listen to us where you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And please follow us on Facebook at Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips.
And you can also see us on our YouTube channel with Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips.